Are you ready for the ultimate bikepacking weekend adventure? Join us for an unforgettable self-supported bikepacking trip through Southwest Virginia. The Grayson Gravel Pie Bikepacking Adventure travels along the Virginia Creeper Trail, the beautiful gravel roads of Grayson County, Virginia, and the New River Trail. All lodging and camping arrangements are included, along with daily routes and guides riding along with you. This self-supported adventure offers resupply opportunities every 20 miles for your food and water needs. Find out more at graveltraveldirt.com.
You're listening to Mid-Atlantic Gravel, Travel, and Dirt.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brian.
And I'm Joey.
Folks, this is episode 239 of Mid-Atlantic Gravel, Travel, and Dirt. If you're new here, this is the podcast where we normally record much earlier in the week, but today we're recording a little bit late in the week because of all the things that have happened earlier in the week.
Yeah.
So you should have seen this morning, but actually you're going to see it Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, I was on the TSA watch list.
Yep. So, folks, this is a podcast about gravel bikes, adventure biking, bikepacking, bike camping, trying to escape Memphis, or just playing bikes.
Yes.
Top of the show, new Patreon family member. Thank you, Nemo from Massachusetts.
Yes.
You're excited about that.
Very nice. Yeah, we've had a couple.
I like it.
It's gonna the more Patreon support, the more doors it can open for us to do more.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we didn't actually talk about this, but I am going to begin doing a monthly sticker drop for our Patreon members. So
yes,
you have to Patreon, if you're listening, and I hope you do listen. That would be a kick, wouldn't it? We don't know what you're talking
I
about.
just sign up for random stuff on the internet. I do that all the time. Nigerian prince.
I do too. Get Rocket Money. It'll actually do your the commercials where
Does
they
that
try
stuff
to
really work?
I don't think so.
You're just letting Big Brother into your bank accounts.
Yeah.
I don't even trust myself in my bank account.
Anyway, I'm going to start doing monthly sticker drops. So Patreon folks, make sure that your address is correct in your profile. If I don't have an address, I'm not able to send you anything in the mail.
Yeah, I still got to do the last couple. I'll do normal sticker drops tomorrow.
Well, I'm just going to flood every month with stickers.
Well, I know the last three folks: Abe, Nemo, and there's one more.
Yeah, and it's. I hope you won't be offended, but they're not going to be personally hand addressed envelopes like Jess did for us one time.
I actually found some in our thing, our little cabinet under our chair
that hadn't been sent.
Yeah, I think there's something with an addresses or something, but I pulled the stickers out and I've already given the stickers away. It was from like 2 years ago.
Yeah, but sometimes, people didn't put their addresses. So, as usual, folks, we got some great discount codes over in the show notes. Go make sure to check them out. There are special discount codes just for our listeners. Nobody else on the internet is allowed to use them. I believe there's a quiz when you try to use one of our discount codes. There's like a,
I heard about that.
Who is the host that never shows up? And that's not Wes, it's Jess.
That's true.
We're going to get Jess back, though, at some
One
point.
day.
One day. You want to dive into Strava Club super quickly, and then we'll circle back?
Yeah. Let's see. Glenn Powlick from Pennsylvania. We all know Glenn. Won 85.7.
Good job, Glenn.
Jonathan Dubal from Washington, D.C. with 153.9.
Nice.
And Wilhelm Botha from Cape Town.
Cape Town.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's not our first international Strava club, but we don't get many international Strava clubbers.
We have some international listers.
Oh, I know that. I just mean for like random picks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
106.7. You only needed 83.6, and I don't know if that was because fog, cold. Zwift isn't as great as it seems to be for long distance. But we are up to 921. It was 915 last week.
I think it's
You better start growing that mustache soon.
It'll take me that long to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's a COVID whip around.
Yeah.
I think numbers were high for the last several years because, people just had a lot of free time. And you're right, Swift and, they're working at home and you had ample opportunity. Now everybody's back slaving away in the grind in the cubicles and, I know what it's like. I actually installed a cubicle in my house just so I could feel like what it's like to be back
thank you.
with all my friends. Okay, so you's in Memphis.
Yep.
You's got trapped in Memphis.
Yeah, we did.
What happened in Memphis?
Long story short, Jessica did complete her half marathon.
Okay,
which was great,
congratulations.
very exciting. Memphis was like a 2 to 3 part series because we flew in, we spent the night downtown, like literally downtown, like we do the last couple of years because Jess gets a sweet hotel gig because she fundraises so much money. We literally were right at the finish line.
She clipped out 4,000, right?
Yep. Like this, a couple years ago, our hotel on the block with Jenny was right at the start line. Like we walked out the door, everyone was running. And it's like 4 blocks long because there's that many people to where the finish line is. This year we woke up right at the finish line. But there's so many people in Jess's starting group, we just walked outside the hotel, which lined right up. We didn't have to walk extra. I didn't.
I
And
like that.
it was great because she finished, and we literally from like here to where my neighbor is, no, probably here to where the car is where like she just crossed the fence
Mhm.
and went right up into her hotel.
Nice.
So that happened. She did awesome, and there was like 20,000 people there. So many runners.
Awesome.
That's my one running thing a year because there's
Well,
just
you
too
know-
many people. Man, the running culture is toxic.
Oh, what do you mean?
God,
Tell me
dude,
more.
The runners are. I can't stand runners in general.
Oh,
But like even in the airport, everyone's
Yeah.
bickering about their time and distance and all this other crap.
that you mean that way?
but it's like
Okay.
the it's just like I hate that so much.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe not as much bike. I also hate like at bike events when people are like, oh, what distance did you do? I don't care, dude.
sometimes
I've
that's
had
just,
the most fun. I mean,
sometimes that's just a question you ask to talk to people.
Yeah.
You don't really.
but it was great. Like
You
we
know.
went to Lululemon that night, and the girl just. She was so fun about it. I guess she lived there and she was talking about doing it, but like, I don't know.
Yeah.
She never brought, like, it's just I think, like, St. Jude is the one, you're going out there to raise money for the kids.
Right.
But anyway,
Right.
I just got really annoyed at the stereotypical runners sitting in the airport.
Well, St. Jude did a great job because I guess I've donated in the past, and so I saw that she was out there doing. I knew she was out there doing it,
Yeah.
but St. Jude like started pinging me like right away. It was like hey, my Instagram was full of like St. Jude stuff, and so I was like, oh, and then I saw Jess's post that she was out there and she was trying to get to the 4,000. So
Yeah.
they did a great job, and
They did.
got some of my
Yeah.
money.
My sister's stationed there now, so we finished the half, and she drove us. She lives like an hour outside of Memphis now. She's stationed in Millington, and she got a nice little swanky house. She just made 04, so she's doing pretty good. But she lives way out there just because.
So you spent some time on Highway 40. You got them Highway 40 blues?
I don't know. Is that Zach Brown?
Well, I mean, it's a.
Highway? I don't know.
Tyler Childers does, with,
Tyler does Highway. Oh.
there's a Tyler Childers Highway 40 Blues.
Um,
So you were on highway.
I don't
were doing
know.
the yeah, you were.
I was a passenger. I mean, I never am passenger. I took my shoes off every time we were in the car because it took.
Wait, did you
it
Uber?
took-
Or did you rent a car? Or did your sister run you around?
Oh, I Ubered from the airport home or to our hotel, and then my sister drove us.
Gotcha.
And then we
How much
spent a
did
day and a
that
half.
cost? How much did
It
that
was only $20 from the airport
cost? Get out, really?
to the
Memphis
hotel.
prices. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop interrupting you. I apologize.
But no, we spent some time with there. We had a 4 a.m. wake up with a 6 a.m. flight. So we already cutting it close because the airport's 40 minutes away.
Yeesh.
And we misplaced some items that were hard to find. Also did not let us get on the airplane. So quickly, I rebooked our flight for the next day at 10 a.m. It was actually a 10:59 flight. And we found said goods later in the morning.
Uh-huh.
So we just had a nice day to
An extra day.
yeah, and my
Now-
sister went to work,
yeah.
came home. I cooked. I made homemade pasta at her house, and
Nice. So
So,
it worked out. It
an
worked
extra day.
out. It worked out. It's fine.
I've been pretty pooped since Thursday night because I
Mhm.
got no sleep because we woke up so early for Friday morning.
Right.
I don't sleep good when I'm away, and the last few nights I was up late. So I haven't really slept good in a while, almost a week. A week
Oh.
today, yeah.
Well, you look good. You sound good.
Thanks.
You smell a little bit like barbecue.
Yeah.
So that's got that going for
I did
you.
have some good barbecue. I actually had really good tacos out there.
Really?
Yeah,
Barbecue
chorizo.
tacos? Like barbecue?
like a
chorizo.
local taco joint.
Ooh.
In my sister's one light town,
Nice.
there's actually a really good taco joint.
Nice.
I had I love the barbecue out there, but I like the catfish and gumbo and stuff because you're down in the corner,
Oh, yeah.
like
Oh,
you're
right
right
on.
by Mississippi, and
You're walking in Memphis,
yeah.
right there. So did you see the ducks?
We only went to Peabody once this year,
Okay.
and just to see the gingerbread houses and the ducks.
Okay.
We spent 3 nights in the Peabody last year and watched the ducks every night. I'm kind of over. There's so many people.
Yeah.
And I don't like Memphis after dark. And we were only across the street from the Peabody, and we only spent 1 night in Memphis, in the actual city.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a great city after dark.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mafia.
Yeah.
Actually,
that is a real thing.
Memphis Mafia. Hell yeah, it's a real thing.
No, it's all the creeps and stuff in the street, and we're right off of Beale Street.
Okay.
And Beale Street might be cool. Maybe I don't find it as cool as I used to.
Yeah. Well, the older you get, the more you see the things that are.
Well, I've been out there a lot,
you know,
and then I see more. I love the music side of it.
you get to peek
I
under the
love
hood.
the blues. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did see Chris Stapleton out there last year.
Did
2
you?
years ago.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Marcus King
Yeah.
opened up.
Yeah. Yeah. That must
So
have
seeing
been.
him right in Tennessee, and then right across the water from Arkansas, and yeah, that's his area.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
I mean, he's a Kentucky boy, but that's general areas.
So Jess felt good with the half, and
She did.
and
She felt great.
awesome.
A lot of doubts. She just did the damn thing.
Yep. Then there you go.
She did great the whole time.
There you go. I
So-
sent her a text while she was running. I don't know if she got it.
I don't know.
I said, "Go runner, go athlete." Like in the middle. I don't know whether she sees things like that in the middle of running or not, but I know I've done that in the past before. I figured out that it had to be about that time, so I sent her a text.
She was a good spirits. She did put her number in her pocket, and she wore her she likes her volunteer shirts because everyone there rides, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
or everyone there runs, but there's not many volunteers.
Okay.
So she wore a volunteer shirt while she was running. I'm like, you're not gonna get to you're the A gonna get to a water stop and they're gonna put you to work, or you're gonna finish and they're gonna confuse you and you're gonna have to work the finish line, and then I'm gonna go home and eat barbecue.
That's so Jess, though.
It was so funny.
That's so Jess.
But yeah, she's actually working the St. Jude Radiothon right now.
Yeah, she's up there hanging out with
For
Elliot.
2 days,
Right?
and she's the volunteer in charge. So it's on some iHeartRadio country station stuff.
Nice.
So it's on iHeart for 2 days. So she's
Nice.
staying in Rockville tonight. Me and
Wow.
Blake are bachelors.
She is like, whoa, did you just throw coffee at yourself?
Just a little
It's
bit.
early in the morning. Hey, it's on the
She-
Carhartt, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
Carhartts are
Yeah, it's a
designed.
good latte though.
Yeah, that's what they're designed for. They're designed to absorb coffee. I had quite the morning today.
Yeah.
I was running a little
Well, I
bit
thought you
close.
were sleeping until you texted me back.
No, had quite the morning today. So, we live in an old house.
Yeah.
It's an older house. We live in the woods. It's
Yeah.
down by the water. And we occasionally get a mouse or two.
Oh,
And right? So the cat comes in the bedroom this morning. They're locked out overnight, right?
Mhm.
And she is obsessed trying to get behind the dresser.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, okay, you've been hanging out in the kitchen. It's that time of year. So I slide the dresser out, and she dives behind it.
Mhm.
This is totally unbike related or anything related, so I'm going to keep this tight. So long story short, I thought she was just messing around. Then all of a sudden, I see the mouse run, and the cat's flying, and the cat's like trying to snatch the mouse
Tom and
up.
Jerry.
So she actually looks like Tom. She's like gray and white. So she was chasing this mouse. And then the mouse came out from underneath the dresser, underneath the bed. She dives underneath the bed. There's all this ruffle going on underneath the
God.
bed. And then the mouse is underneath the nightstand. So I pull the nightstand out. And then me and the cat are sitting there. The mouse is in the corner.
Mhm.
And the cat is literally just sitting next to the mouse. It was like, unless the mouse was moving, the cat didn't want to have anything to do with it. So immediately the mouse starts to run. The cat goes crazy. And the mouse gets away. The mouse flies into the closet, and then the cat runs in the closet, and then there was a little crack at the air duct,
Mhm.
and the mouse slipped right through the little air duct, and now the cat is probably still sitting in the closet.
tearing up your house.
Now the cat will just sit there quietly and stare at that air duct, probably for the next 48 hours. She's just going to stare at that air
Holy
duct.
Yeah. Well, this could be our cat chat of the week.
Cat chat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. She's a dirty kitten.
Yeah.
She is a dirty kitten.
Yeah.
And they're getting ready to kick off their winter training series that starts the first of the year.
It does.
So that's very excited. Alex and Chris. And folks, if you don't know about the Dirty Kitten Winter Training Series, you should go definitely check it out. It's a great way for 3 months, January, February, and March, time, distance, and elevation. They do a great job.
Yeah.
I think they have like 150 or 200 people that typically are in that now.
Mhm.
So maybe that'll grow this year for them. And I would definitely recommend checking that out. Joining us now, Stephen Fitzgerald from Rodeo Labs, president, owner, and founder. And Joey wrote this week's show notes. So there's lots of unusual and strange things in there. But thank you, Stephen, for joining us. Welcome to Mid-Atlantic Gravel, Travel, and Dirt.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it a lot.
Is that all
Haven't done
correct?
a podcast in a while.
Yeah, is all that is all that stuff that Joey mentioned, president, owner, and founder, actually correct?
I've never used the term president on myself. I don't think that's a term anybody really.
I
loves
don't know how. I was just making bullet points.
The one at the end, I think the next slash is intern. Correctly, is that correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah, that I do love. I love that title more than any other title. I did give it to myself. The backstory there is that I don't know, maybe 2021 we needed help. We were growing as every bike company was, so I put an ad out on our Instagram. Not an ad, just a post. It was a story, and it just said long hours, low pay, but glory or something like that. We need an intern. And then it was very tone deaf and ill timed, and people came at me so hard for the bike industry is exploitative and it's built on essentially slave labor, and this is why I got out of the bike industry. I mean, a lot of heat instantly. And to me, it was a joke because I actually was at one point an intern and actually really loved. That's how I kind of got into my career. So I thought it was funny, and it wasn't. And so, by the way, we don't have unpaid people at Rodeo Labs. Essentially, haven't since our first year when I was unpaid the first few years of rodeo. So anyway, it was a joke that went poorly. So I decided to give myself that title in retribution that I am the intern at Rodeo Labs.
Nice.
In perpetuity.
Nice. Well, everybody knows that interns are the ones that actually do all the work and make things continue to run. So that's the way for it to be. It's
They do a lot of work. Yeah, I mean, I was at one point in my life an unpaid intern for about 9 months, and it was a crash course in my career that, for me at the time, and still, I wouldn't trade for anything. You do hustle hard, but I do know that interns are also exploited by many companies as part of their business model. So I don't want to totally make light of that. I still haven't healed from the whole experience anyway. So, it can be good and bad.
Yeah.
But you work hard. You work hard as somebody who starts a business. You kind of work hard and for a long time without pay. So, it is an accurate title for any person who's entrepreneurial.
It's true.
You guys probably know.
Yeah. I've got that in my backstory as well. The world of being an entrepreneur, and it is correct. You do clean the toilets, and you empty the trash cans, and you do all of the things that nobody else seems to want to do.
Yeah, I'm in the bike industry. I call myself the glorified. Nothing against janitors or anything, but I'm like I run a business, but I'm the trash guy and mopper and everything. So
at our previous location, I would often roll up. I ride to work. I roll up and then look down at weeds and start pulling weeds in the parking lot because I would think, well, you can't just roll up and buy a very expensive bicycle and there's weeds in the parking lot. Like it can't be the first thing that people see.
Right.
So I would just be out there for 30 or 40 minutes on occasion pulling weeds, which I actually really enjoy. Kind of a sick hobby. But yeah, you'll do anything you need to do to make the thing work.
And I think that's the entrepreneurial spirit. And Rodeo Labs as a brand is something that we hear. I mean, you're out in Colorado, but here on the East Coast, I mean, there is quite the Rodeo Labs following. The brand is very strong.
Yes.
Very strong here on the East Coast. So
well, I love hearing that. Yeah.
What
that makes me happy.
Give us a little bit of the backstory on Rodeo Labs. How did it all start? Where did it come from, and why?
So interestingly, we are almost 10 years in now. We started in January 2014. So in January, we will be 10 years old, which is really weird to be able to say. It just doesn't seem like it's been that long, and I also can't believe we made it this far. So we're thinking about what is rodeo and why are we here? How do we start? And I would say it started as a sandbox. I built our own sandbox so that we could get in there and play and nobody could tell us what to do.
Love that.
In
Love
the
that.
context of cycling.
Yeah.
So it was me having come up through cycling my whole life and then getting to this point in road racing, 11 through 2013 or whatever, 2014, and seeing the seriousness of that side of the sport. Some of that's tradition and it's really cool, but some of it is just really self-important, which is not cool. And I had a team that I had a falling out with because there were too many rules. My friends couldn't join, and I felt like they were exclusive and sort of pointed at the wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, we're going to make our own team. I don't know if anybody wants to be on it, but the rules of the team are really that there are no rules, and let's just go have fun. And that was Rodeo. At the very beginning, there was no intent towards being a bike company or making it in the industry. I don't have any industry background. I do have a lot of bicycle riding background all the way back to, when I was basically junior high and on. So it became, I think it resonated, that tone, which is still maybe part of the zeitgeist of bikes or even gravel, is just kind of do it your own way and don't let anybody tell you what to do.
Right.
Although I do feel like the cement is drying on some aspects of gravel, and it's being forced into a mold now that bums me out.
Yeah. Thank you, UCI.
But yeah. Or honestly, thank you, capitalism and money. If you really want to figure out it,
truth,
because it is about moving units, and as soon as there's the opportunity to do that, then very large economic machines attach themselves to the trend and pump it hard for bucks. And hey, look, we sell bikes, so I mean, are we a part of the problem? Maybe. But anyway, so we did the team for a long time, and I started experimenting with wanting to ride my bike in silly ways, my road bike and then my cyclocross bike, and start to do point-to-point rides that didn't really have any definition in terms of what kind of terrain we would hit. And then I said, well, the cross bike I have, I'm overdoing it on brakes and gearing and tire size. So I started looking for a way to build the bike that I wanted to ride. And then I painted that bike. I found that frame in China on, Alibaba. And I found that through forums, like forget the road bike review forums from back in the day. It was a generic frame. And we told everyone that. I told everyone, we just found these frames. We're painting them. We're putting as fat of a tire we can in them and disc brakes and dropper posts. And I named it something stupid so that nobody would think that this was serious, which was Trail Donkey. And then people wanted them, and they really wanted to buy them. And a lot of people, I think, were thinking the same way. And, that was sort of the genesis point of gravel. People had been pioneering gravel, and you could argue that gravel's always been there. I get it. But in terms of it becoming a thing that people wanted to do, it happened to time really well with that. And I am not an entrepreneur. I don't like risk. I don't like fear. I don't like money. I really don't like any, but I really wanted to make this thing, and then other people wanted it, and it looked like Rodeo had a lot of steam behind it as a fun experimental bike project. So I got with some people who were smarter than me, and I asked them if this seemed like foolishness, and they said maybe, but it seems like it has a lot going for it. So I just decided to go for it. And at that point, I said, well, we're not going to release a generic bike that somebody else makes and put our logo on it. So we got about designing a new bike from scratch. So you could never buy Trail Donkey 1. There are only 5.
Nice.
It was never an economic thing. And that was the generic sort of Chinese frame that anybody could probably still buy if they went out and dug deep enough on the internet. And then Trail Donkey 2 was really the genesis of Rodeo as a company. And that's when I said, okay, well, here's everything I like about 1, but I want to improve that and make it our own. And since it's a blank sheet of paper, we can do whatever we want. Again, it was our own sandbox to do whatever we wanted. That's what Rodeo is. So that was the beginning.
Does that, are those Trail Donkey 1s, do you still know where they are? Do you still have track of them?
Well, I have one. And believe it or not, my sister has one who wasn't even a cyclist, but loved the whole thing so much, got one and still has it, which I totally loved it, 2 of them. And then, the other one's in Steamboat, 2 are in Steamboat, and 1 is in California, last I knew. So I sort of know where all 5 are, yeah.
Nice. Like your
I
kids.
don't have air tags in them. I don't know where they are at the moment. I wish. That'd be really cool.
No little tracking
yeah.
devices you could put in there.
Yeah, they're all still written, ironically, except for mine, which will be going on the wall in our archive. We got a
Beautiful.
new building we're building on our
Well,
archive. Everybody else's are still built into bikes that you can still ride.
you know what I absolutely love about that story? I mean, it's organic, it's authentic, it's I think some of the best things in life are not planned. And it sounds very much like, that's what we have here. It was like, let's do a thing and let's see where it goes. And it just grows sort of organically and naturally. I love that.
Yeah, and I genuinely don't think I could do this again with anything other than bikes, because
Yeah.
it's not like I know the recipe. It's just it was the right thing at the right time, and a really great combination of timing and luck and passion and hard work. And 4 of those things I can't control.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? So yeah, it was very organic. I had a good job. I had a good career. I didn't really have any plans to end it. And you don't make more money in bikes than you do with the same skill set in the larger sort of economy. So in some ways it's a downgrade. But none of that matters to me.
Right. And you had said, you mentioned that one could argue that gravel has always been a thing, and I understand that. But I think what's different, because anybody can be a gravel bike. We've talked about that, but I think a lot of us, Joey mentioned earlier that we've been at this like 5 or 6 years now. I think what is new and what's changed is the attitude of gravel is what spurred and came about. Anybody can be a gravel bike, and we've all been riding our bikes on gravel forever. But there's an attitude that I think that came about, or a community, or a vibe, or something that changed probably in that last 8-10 year window. That's what we've talked about, is quite possibly changing now with money.
Yeah. And maybe that's when people say gravel's always been a thing. Where they're wrong is that, sure, the bikes in various states have always existed, but the culture and the community have not.
Right.
And maybe that's the thing that boosted the decades old technology, riding your bikes on dirt.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
and that is what's changing also.
Now we can do it better and faster because the bikes changed, and then of course people are going to want to start to race them seriously in that manner. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is.
And now they need to be aero now, and the frame needs to be 600 grams.
Right.
And there are so many things they need to be now, because they can. For some people, not everybody. Plenty of people loving on 26-inch, Trek 930s with drop bars too. Which is a cool thing about gravel.
Yep.
It has many flavors.
Yeah, like there's huge resurgence of the old, the old bike now.
Yeah.
We saw that at Hush Money,
which is wild. Yeah,
yeah. We were just up in Lancaster for the fall fuck around that Hush Money puts on, and the variety of bikes was crazy. I mean, just absolutely bonkers. Just all across the board, whatever you were looking for, you could find.
Yeah,
it was all there.
I like that a lot.
It's fun.
Yeah, that makes me happy to hear. And I was just at Gravel Worlds in August, which is the first time I had done it. And more than any other event, as in Colorado, I don't know, we have our own sort of bike culture, and maybe it's show-offy. People have new bikes and super matching kits and the correct stock length. But I went to Gravel Worlds and I saw a much more homegrown and a much more diverse field of people and bikes at that race than even at Unbound, one state over, whatever that is. It was many, many more cantilever cross bikes with matching sort of Paul everything, and down to the anodized bolts that they had. Like it seemed like people were owning bikes longer and taking more pride in them than they were at sort of the highly polished, top tier glitzy races. And I thought, okay, cool. We're going to be fine. Not we, but like gravel, the sport, whatever is going to be fine. There are still people out there that are doing it for not completely consumeristic reasons.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Is the true gravel community, the gravel vibe, is we hold on to our bikes and we want to play with them. You know, and it goes so far as it's as simple as let's just swap out tire sizes and tire pressures and play with things and because conditions are never truly the same. You're never going to find that. Hardtop is hardtop, but gravel can be anything, and it can be a variety of mediums and mixed terrains, but it comes down to our friend Ted, who loves to take his Flanimal and make entirely new skins for it.
Oh, that bike's a different bike every day.
Every time I see Ted on his bike, it's like, "Whoa, what you riding?" He's like, "Same bike, different graphics."
Yeah. Well, he's the ultimate expression of.
He's the ultimate expression of a lot of things.
Yes, he is. He is the spirit of gravel.
He is.
That's the truth too. That's God.
We found him.
Yep. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. So, what are you riding right now? But besides that Trail Donkey 1.
Well, that I ride in my dreams. I ride my Trail Donkey 4, which is the first frame out of the mold. So the prototype that maybe was completed last October, and it isn't even production spec, but I have repainted it twice, and I continue to ride it. And as I rode to work and stared down at it today, I thought it might be time to paint it again. And so I ride that a lot. I feel like I should be riding our newest bikes because
Sure.
I put a lot of miles on them, and do they represent what we're trying to achieve? And that's kind of my job, I guess. It's part of the job, part of it. I have a Flanimal Titanium as well that I tend to ride less right now, but as winter comes on, it will get more and more use.
Okay, makes sense.
It's interesting that they're sort of, every bike we make in a way is the same bike. They're all almost identical geometry, almost identical tire specs. They all fit any drivetrain you want. They all do, on the Venn diagram, almost complete overlap, with just a few differentiating things like materials, or maybe the Trail Donkey has down tube storage now, which you would never be able to do on a metal frame, I don't think.
Okay.
So they're and the Trail Donkey's lighter than the steel Flanimal, but at the end of the day, I've raced all of them, I've bike packed on all of them, I commute on all of them, I've road ridden all of them, and that's pretty near and dear to the initial question that I had for the bike that I wanted to exist, was how much can I do on one bike? So even though I've had many Rodeo Labs at this point, they're all pretty much the same bike, built around the same questions.
Right. And it's funny because Joey and I were sitting here talking earlier, and we're going through the lineup, and I loaded the website, and you got the Trail Donkey, and you got the Flanimal, and we'll talk a little bit about this show pony that I see down here. And I asked Joey the question. I said, which one would be considered the bike packing bike? And he says, all of them. You're like, oh, okay. Well, that's a fair answer.
Yeah.
I got it. I got it. They're all meant to do sort of the same thing.
Well, and I think,
but it is funny that perceptions are really hard to shape in that regard, because we do a lot of experimental riding where we end up sort of pushing our bike up scree fields in the Rockies. It's just you're going places you really can't ride sometimes, but you want to get there anyway. You got to get over a pass, so you do some pushing, and then you get down the other side and you start riding again. And so people started saying, "Well, those are the bikes, for pushing up scree fields." Great, whoops. That's the wrong message. And then, so then we got, for 2 years, we had a gravel racing team with 10 riders trying to go out and slay all of the important races. And we had some good results and some wins. And then I saw a guy at a race, and he said, "Oh man, I want to get a Trail Donkey someday. But when I need a race bike, but right now I'm really into bike packing and rowdy stuff, and that's not what it's for." And I was like, "Were you not paying?" Well, maybe probably wasn't. Were you not paying attention a year ago when we were the Screefield bike? It's the same bike. And then the team went away, and Rodeo Labs bikes are for fooling around, but I would never race one. So then this year we went out and raced every race within range that was important. So Mid-South, Unbound, Gravel Worlds, and SBT on the Trail Donkey, and we won 3 out of 4 of those single speed. So we went out and tried to tell the race story again, and now I'm pretty sure people will be like, "No, that's a race bike. You couldn't possibly." So,
You can't
whatever
win.
you happen to be showing
You
people.
can't
No,
win.
you kind of. People really do want to be told, like, this is what this bike is for, and maybe that's where traditional
Oh,
brands do it better, in the sense that they're like, this is our road bike, this is our racing aero gravel bike, this is our fool around gravel bike, and this is our bike packing. And they have 4 bikes. And by the way, you should buy all of them.
Yeah.
And that's their business model, where we're trying to unlearn that and say, it's just a bike. It's really mostly up to you. And you can configure it more or less any way you want. Within there are, of course, constraints on that. Like, it's not a pure mountain bike. And if you're going to do a really rugged bike packing event, you'll go faster on a real mountain bike. So you got to be honest, but it isn't all things to all people, but it's a lot of things to a lot of people. And I'm content with that for now.
Well, I guess it is. We're products of our environment, and you're right. If every other bike company out there is, because I asked the question. I mean, I as you're sitting there talking, I'm going, well, I'm the person that just tried to put something in a pigeonhole.
Yeah.
So we are products of our environment.
Well, I think that,
and I think the media, traditional media, is especially, I don't know, there's an ecosystem built around that of doing sort of bike shootouts in tests, comparing one bike to the next, reviewing, and then, or I hate to say it, but like lazy journalism, where a bike comes out and you sort of print the press release with a couple of thoughts about it. And there isn't a lot of curiosity, in my opinion, in a lot of traditional media. There are exceptions that I think do really wonderful jobs asking those questions. But if a lot of people are going to, let's say the top 3 or 4 websites to get to consume their bicycle, intake every day when they're bored at work, and those are the people who are controlling the narrative of what a bike is and what the genres are and what the experience you should have is, then I think that becomes reality for a lot of people. So I mean, maybe our job is just to be a small, curious company that ask that question: of, is there another way, for better or for worse?
Yeah.
well, I think I don't know, the last like 5 or 10, whatever we were just talking about, as far as you developing everything. I mean, I think when I look into stuff and everything you just said about you riding everything, you doing everything with the bike, is what I start looking at first. Is, from the top down, like you're actually testing your stuff, you're trying it out, and you've done every aspect of it. And I'm not huge into the race scene anymore, but it was pretty cool watching the team and you guys podium at all that. Did you guys like sweep Mid-South or Unbound with single speed this year?
Mid-South we were second and third. Yes, Mid-South we were second and third, and then Unbound we won, and then we're 4th, 5th, and 6th, which was a tie, whatever. We all crossed the line at the same time.
Yeah.
And then Lucas went back and won SBT, and then I somehow won Gravel Worlds in single speed. So that was cool. I mean, I'm proud of that for everybody, not just me. Some people, sometimes that may come across as like an ego play, but I really, because we're small and we don't have a huge budget where we push our bikes out to the media and have them, we have to tell our own story. And if you can't prove that your bikes can at least stand up, alongside the other ones, then you're going to have a hard time surviving. So we did that well. I'm proud that we told our own story.
Well,
I
did Gravel Worlds 2 years ago, and bravo, because you're either going up or you're going down.
Oh man,
it's like a sawtooth, It's like you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down.
I didn't understand that could be a thing. I didn't really have a space in my brain for. You are, just like you said, only going up or down.
Yep.
For what is it, 150 miles? I don't know what the exact number is. And it's not waterboarding. It's fun, but in a way, maybe especially on one gear, at some point it just becomes hilarious. You're like, this can't be happening. There's another one, and then you get on an especially tall one, and you can see into the distance,
Yep.
And the number of infinite rollers you will just
Yes, I know
you really have to
exactly.
discipline your
I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's like the balloon is your bubble is burst. It's like, and there's never enough down on the down to help you on the up
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's kind of there's just no rest for the wicked. Kind of like Croatan, where you're
Well,
always spinning. It's just
Yeah.
right,
a different form of
complete opposite.
whatever. It's just and getting back to what we were talking about too. I'm going to bet you that I haven't done this, but I bet you I could go on YouTube right now, and somebody has produced a trail donkey versus flanimal. Try to compare and these two things against each other. And trying to
Could be,
pigeonhole.
maybe if you find that, send it to me.
Maybe I
We
won't
haven't
be
made it
Maybe I won't be able
because
to
our
do
bikes our bikes are not against each other, so we wouldn't. We definitely we have a pretty important job trying to tell people what's the difference, and there's
Right.
definitely a lot of which one should I get, as if there's a should, but
Mhm.
we do try and work towards what's the best match. But that's a common question, why one versus the other, and they honestly they speak to different people completely aside from how much they cost. They speak to different people for different reasons. There's definitely steel people, titanium people, and carbon people, and
Mhm.
they tend to self-categorize. Of course, we had to offend the steel people by putting carbon in the steel frame, so maybe we lost the crowd with that one.
Where does Show Pony fit in? And I know that's sort of prototype still, maybe.
Well, that's a big topic. So we get more ambitious with what we're doing in terms of our riding, and so do people, customers, people in the community, or even our sponsored athletes, like Ashley or previously Jay, people who are doing bigger, more grueling events. There are events where you just honestly are at a disadvantage on a rigid drop bar bike,
Mhm.
so you need to step up to a mountain bike. And when you hear enough people asking, will there ever be a hardtail? Will there be a mountain bike? That's been a question for a long time. And as a small company and one that does not traditionally leverage itself, so we don't take on debt, we don't have outside investors to bring in. You got to capitalize a new product line.
Yeah.
Right.
To bring on a mountain bike line, you don't just have to fund the R&D and then buy a bunch of frames. You also have to bring on a totally different parts ecosystem. A mountain bike, everything's now boost. You've got flat bar shifters instead of drop bars. So that step to say that's the right thing to do, it's never been that point. But we did get to, especially during COVID, when it was like you people will buy anything, with wheels during COVID. And we kept hearing more clamoring for, would you please just make a mountain bike? So we started working on it, and we first worked with a frame builder in Philadelphia to prototype our ideas for geometry and just the basic function of it. There is a big question of what is a rodeo mountain bike, like why?
Mhm.
Because there was a really great why for what is the trail donkey and why make a bike to begin with. So it's super authentic. But like, okay, so why a mountain bike? It's not a one bike to rule them all type thing. It isn't really talking about maximum versus, what is it? Or are we just doing a market share grab where we could sell a bike that is a mountain bike with a rodeo logo on it? We could sell it, so we should do it. So while we're working on development, we're asking the question of, is this even a contribution to cycling, or
Yeah.
is this just a mountain bike? So we did the steel ones, and we rode them, and they went out, and they had some good races and results on those. And then we went back to Taiwan and had some aluminum ones prototypes. Came back, sent them out to some people, rode them. They were also fine. And then we got to a really existential point with the company where we had a big falling out with our main manufacturing partner. And I was just so tired of the COVID delays and the Asia supply chain wrinkles. And then I rode the prototypes, and I came back and I just thought, this isn't it. This bike isn't it. Like, there's no real inspiration behind this bike. I don't want to ride this more than my trail donkey. As a matter of fact, there are very few days where I would grab this over the donkey. And I hate the story of the bike and how it's made. It's just, oh, go get another bike from Asia real quick. So I just killed it and I said, we're not making this bike unless it has a real genuine reason to exist. Um, and so it was paused, and then it has not died. It's just gone to another place inside the company where we're working on making our own bikes here, but I would say not in a traditional way. We don't want to anything. I would say anything you see in terms of construction and fabrication in the United States, the Made in the USA market, we're not really that inspired by. You could go the Allied way, which is the beautifully made, super high end carbon made, USA $5,000, $6,000 frame set. I don't really know what they cost. I'm just guessing. And that bike would exist to serve some high end customers, or you could go to traditional sort of welded steel, aluminum, titanium, and you could also do that in the United States. But it doesn't scale really well. The price isn't very competitive. I don't really think that solves the volume thing. So what we've done is we're using the show pony as the platform to try and ideate basically a novel way to make a bike in the United States that could actually scale. So we call that Project Denver, and we've teased Project Denver maybe 4 or 5 times.
I was about to ask about if we were allowed to talk about that.
Yeah, no, I don't mind talking about it at all. I won't talk about everything. We've been really quiet about really what the specifics are of what we're doing, and we'll put some pictures up and let people guess. But there's no caption when we put a photo up. It's just the date.
Yeah.
And
Tricky.
We're basically signaling intent that we're working on something. It's important, but as it relates to the mountain bike, that to me was the right combination of a why. If we could release a mountain bike that we make in the United States and it's affordable enough, maybe somewhere around the Flanimal price point, and we could scale it, and so we could. It has a much better supply chain story. We're not starting it overseas. We're not shipping it across the oceans. We are employing people here to make it. It's better in many, many ways. That would be a reason to make a mountain bike.
Yeah.
And that would actually be a contribution to, I would say, cycling in general, that we're actually being curious again, the same way that maybe we were 10 years ago when we were curious in a different way. Maybe we were just curious about function. Mm-hmm. Now we're curious about method and origin story.
Well,
so
mountain bikes,
rodeo. Yeah, that's it.
Mountain bikes interest me. I used to be a mountain biker, and I got to the point where as I've gotten older, my hands don't particularly care for it. But as recently, I've gotten this sort of like, I don't know, itch to go out with these guys and kind of hang out in the woods with them. So, I've been looking for that bike. I don't need that full squish anymore. I'm not going to go out and like rip up features and do all this stuff, but I'd love to have a bike that would put me back in the woods, that would make a comfortable ride, but then I could also take it and load it up, so to speak. And, that's actually not an easy bike to find.
Yeah, I read on, I look on bikepacking.com and I see a number of people asking this question. There are a number of people, like when we previewed the show pony, people say, "Oh, you're making a Salsa Timberjack." And I don't know the Salsa Timberjack because I'm not a mountain biker and I don't follow salsa. But I thought, oh, okay, well, that's actually a really good data point. Maybe this bike already exists and maybe somebody else is doing it. And by the way, that frame is, I don't know, $600-800. So what are we doing at $1,200 or $2,000 or $3,000 offering a bike that already exists? So that was one of the reasons I did hear from that community. There are plenty of these, and I know this isn't totally true. I don't think there's anything left to do in hardtail mountain bikes that hasn't been done already. It's one of the most explored genres of, how many things can you bolt onto a frame? What can you do to geometry? And then there's every micro flavor in between of, the Sendy End and, Rip Trail Ripper all the way to the, Jay just came up with the 600 millimeter chainstay Tour Divide hardtail. He did that with Esker. And so you just there's not a lot that people haven't asked and tried in that genre. Again, which to me is kind of a reason to say, why? If bikes are a zero sum game, I think bike sales are more or less a zero sum game, meaning these core genres I don't think are growing. I think e-bikes may be growing and cargo bikes may be growing, but if the core genres are the same, if we just show up and say, we now make mountain bikes too, then what we're really doing is just taking those sales from somebody else. And I wouldn't feel bad at all taking sales away from Trek and Specialized, but do I want to take, sales away from Esker? No, not really. Or I don't know why. Some of the smaller mid-sized brands that we would probably more naturally compete with. But if we came in with a bike and we said, this bike just has a better reason for existence, a better product story, and it is objectively, in some ways, a better object to have made, then I would like to do that bike. So I don't think we've answered the question yet. We do have a roadmap, and we see where we're going with it. And if we pull it off, that's what the show pony will be. And then, by the way, all of our other bikes would eventually probably become that as well. I think, I don't know if it's 5 years or 10 years. If we're successful, we'll get out of Asia entirely and we'll bring everything back to the United States. Nice. I don't have a lot of existential, terrible guilt. I hate myself for the way that we've done things. And, we're bad for making bikes in Asia. I don't feel that at all. We employ 8 people in Denver, Colorado, and we pay them all living wages. And we all have a really good quality of life, balance of life thing going on. I'm really proud of what we do economically. But objectively, it would be better to not make bikes there for many reasons. And if I can learn how to do that, that's what Rodeo Labs, I think, is going to be about in the next 10 years.
And, that comes right back to what we were talking about earlier with, the authenticity and the organic building of a company, because you nailed it. If the bike doesn't have a reason to exist, then why would we be the one-to-ones to do it? It's what I kind of heard. It's kind of like if it makes sense and it's something that we can innovate, then we're going to explore that. But beyond that, we're just going to do the same thing all over again to kind of create another thing.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty.
Yeah, and if we could innovate, there's a big win there. If you can make a better product, you're going to win. Economically, you're going to win. There's a lot of ways you can win there. Yeah. I just want to win the right ways. I have a friend Paul who runs Paper Trail in Philly, and we talk about capitalism. Well, I am a capitalist in the sense that I want to build things, create value, and benefit from that. But I want to be restrained in that capitalism, not sort of parasitic in it. And I think if we had just gone directly to Asia and come out with an uninspired mountain bike and said "Me Too" and it says logo on it or it says rodeo on it, then that would have been more on the parasitic end of capitalism instead of maybe like a beneficial symbiotic type thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of idealistic, but that's what I want.
The real problem that I saw, and I'll be blunt with the show pony, was that there was no spork.
Well, we have drawings for the fork, which we would probably call the pitchfork, and so that would be a thing. We could have a fork out for it in 3 months or less, with the existing, way that we do things. But yeah, that wasn't the place to start. You don't want to start tooling up and designing a carbon fork for a hardtail frame that you don't know yet if you even like. Exactly. So I'm glad we didn't do that yet.
But
you're right.
What is the story behind Spork?
Most of our product stories start as like almost dad jokes. So I mean, the trail donkey was a dad joke, and the Flanimal was a dad joke. We're in Flanders, in Belgium. There are animals, like they have amazing farms there. It's a lot like Oregon, great place to farm and raise an animal. And then you start to see, llamas, alpacas, kangaroos, amazing show chickens. Like all of their farm animals are more beautiful than farm animals I've ever seen, probably because they're not commercial farms. And so we would stop and take pictures of the animals in Flanders, and then we started calling them Flanimals. And of course, it's Flanders animals. It was a stupid joke, but that's what we decided to call the bike. And Uh, and then the spork was, well, it's a fork, but it's more versatile than a fork. Most forks, especially at the time when it came out, there
Mhm.
weren't a lot of forks that were versatile at all.
Right.
That came out in 2015 was when, the origin point of that fork. And you looked around and I don't know, maybe Salsa had some adventure-y forks, but and then we just started every time people started weighing in on could the fork do this? Could you add eyelets? Yes. Could you add dynamo features? Yes. Could you make the clearance bigger? Yes. We just kept. Can you make the axles agnostic? So we just kept tiling in what the fork could do. So we named it the Spork because it was a more
Nice.
versatile fork.
Yeah.
That's it.
Joe, you want to talk? You had some events here you wanted
Yeah.
to kind of touch on.
I do. I wanted to try to bring it up earlier. If you guys want a good, kind of your guys' podcast with Paul and Paper Trail, and Paul starting up with that, and you guys with the delay of overseas stuff and the COVID boom. That's a pretty good listen.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That is a great podcast with cutting it close to the wire.
Yeah.
and
We love, God, him driving frames up the night before their first two. Thank you for that memory.
Sorry, I love Paul.
Paul's
Paul's
in fetal position.
an awesome guy, but that was a pretty cool, humbling finish to that episode.
I'll put if you give me the link to that, I'll put a link to that in the show notes.
It's great. There's nothing bad about it, everyone. It's
No,
it's pretty cool.
Just the only thing bad is just the having had to have lived that experience of like, Paul, I'm desperately trying not to let you down right now.
Yeah.
I hope I don't. That was the hard part.
You didn't, so.
We all did it. Yeah.
I wanted to talk really quick. Like you talk about a lot of your riding, and you post a lot to your Instagram. Like that Breck. What did you call it? The Breck Rim 200, or what was the title of that ride?
I call it the Breck Super Loop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That looked awesome. And it looked like it had everything you could do on a bike, all wrapped up in like 200 miles.
Wow.
It did. It had everything you can do on our bikes in one ride for sure. That is like, that's the prototypical Rodeo Labs experience for me, where you just want to go somewhere and getting there is more important than like genres or anything else. And is maybe also prototypical because it was, for me, super scary. I've ridden and done hard things on bikes, long things, and I've done that loop previously. A year or two ago, I did it with my friend Nick. We did it, as a duo, I guess. And the story behind it was simply to draw up an absurd route that is maybe rideable in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's not even true. We bike packed it 2 times before we thought, do you think that we could do it in a day? So in the beginning, it was just, we're bored and it's COVID, and everybody, by the way, was extremely creative during COVID, doing personal challenges, FKT, solo events. I feel like that, as terrible as that period was like a renaissance for people being creative, because you couldn't go to events, but we all still wanted to do something. We were still cyclists.
Yeah.
So we drew that route up, and it went from Denver along bike paths, through a gravel canyon, up and over pure mountain bike single track, across huge swaths of sort of the high country, onto paved roads, over, I'm not even sure how many mountain passes, but it definitely got up to about 12 something thousand feet, a couple times, and then back to Denver. And, I guess at the end there, we were trying to sort of FKT it in my own group of 5 friends. And, it was just a friendly competition. But this fall, I just realized that I had more or less squandered the summer not doing anything very interesting for myself. I'd done events, things like that, but I didn't feel, I could see the leaves starting to change, which meant that you're not going to be able to go up into the Colorado high country on a bike for, let's just say, 6 months. I don't know what the number is. And I thought, I've wasted summer, and if the snow starts falling and I don't get one big ride in, I've wasted an entire calendar year of being able to go up into the Rockies, which is honestly a terrible feeling. So I set off to do that ride by myself. I also needed think time. That was, I guess, maybe September, and there's a lot of stress in the bike industry right now. I would guess that every bike company is under stress. Some are fine and will weather it well. Some are going away. Gorilla Gravity, unfortunately, just disappeared. And I have to deal with my own stresses of basically the contraction of the bike industry as it relates to Rodeo Labs, having, employees that need to be taken care of. And we had a big move. So I just needed a day to go ride my bike and to re-center on that's who I am. I need, and can I do this? And, kind of get back to like the basics maybe. And so that's what that ride was. And it was, God, it took forever. It was 22 hours and 240 miles. And there again, like, I think probably Lachlan did that every day for 2 weeks when he FKT'd the divide. So in terms of human achievement, like it's not.
Lachlan doesn't
who
run
cares?
a bike company. Yeah.
I'm not sure he's really human either. So
No, he's somebody else. So in some ways that stuff doesn't matter, but I would say our personal, when we're trying to like figure out who we are and the things that we try and do, they only have context personally. So it isn't, what I did wasn't amazing for other people. It was just for me. It was scary for me. I was out there all day alone. I was riding through the night alone. There was very few resupplies. And I really, by the end of it, I hit a huge wall and I really wanted to quit. And I almost got a hotel within 40 miles of Denver because I just mentally was just over it. And then I got a text from my friends that they were actually riding out from Denver to meet me. They had my dot. I had shared my dot with them. And
Nice.
So they sort of surprised me at the last minute and said, we're going to meet you at the top of this Little Bear climb. We're going to sort of roll with you back to Denver. You got this. And it was really kind of amazing because it was the point of quitting. And I don't quit. I don't think I've ever quit anything, but I was really going to quit this ride, but they did me a huge solid. And just the mental boost of knowing that there's somewhere out there in the middle of the night, this is near midnight on the second night really, that someone out there is like waiting for you and they're going to, that was just all your mind needs to keep going. So, it was a phenomenal day that I would not trade for anything, especially in retrospect.
that's the spirit of gravel right there.
I was so eager for the Instagram updates watching that one.
I documented that one.
It was so cool watching this story. Like my coworker, one of my employees, Chris, was asking me that like probably a week and a half ago about the trail donkey and like the purpose of it and like what you can't do. I'm like, well, you should watch. You upload it all in like one video on YouTube.
I did.
And I'm like, you're on a bike path. You're on the Colorado Trail. You're on gravel. You're like on ridiculous passes, and that just explains that bike.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
And those are the most sublime days. Those are just the most sublime days when you're just out there on your bike all day long.
Yeah.
Do it on whatever bike makes you happy. Like
it
isn't there's nothing special about the trail donkey in that regard. I would just say like if you did it on a mountain bike, you would totally slay the single track and you would be bored to tears on the 150 miles of pavement that ride probably also had. At some point the bike just doesn't matter anymore. You're just trying to get there. So I think what I said in my story was just go scare yourself. And that again is relative to each person. Like, is it scary to ride 20 miles because you've never done that? Or is it scary to ride 200? The important thing is you set the goal. You don't know if you can do it. And then you try and then you learn about yourself. That was that ride.
Yeah. That was very exciting to watch. Congratulations! I mean, like I said, you see it in this. Like you got to watch it, Brian.
Okay,
cool.
I'll check it out.
I like.
I'm sorry for all the monologues. All I can do is take selfies. I mean, I can't. I almost brought the drone, and I almost brought a camera and a tripod to try. And I thought, no, I just really can only ride my bike all day. So, in a sense, it's not a visual feast, but there's a story.
We do the same thing, Joe. We talk all the time. Joe and I go to an event. We're going to take cameras. We're going to take pictures. We're going to do all this stuff. And Joe, you're much better at taking pictures than I am. I will get to the end of a ride and I'll be like, damn, I didn't take a single picture.
Yeah.
Because you just get so wrapped up in the moment. It's not so much about sharing it with others, but as much as it is digesting it for yourself.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So
yeah, I'm torn on that, and like, I am compelled to share stories when I ride, but that's not for everybody. And
Mhm.
if you go on a ride and you didn't post it to Instagram, did it really happen? There's a whole thing there where some of it can be super performative and braggadocious.
right.
That's not me. For me, I'm super excited to be out there. And maybe I'll be alone. Most of the time I ride alone just because of circumstances. Mostly family schedules are just too complicated to hook up with friends much. But I want to share how excited I am or what I saw or just tell a story, which that's innate to me as a person, but that's not for everybody. And being able to leave your camera at home or honestly, don't take your Garmin and just go on a bike ride for you. I would never say that's the most pure, right? That's the most pure thing, I guess,
Right.
in some ways. But I am built to tell stories. So that's how I ride a bike.
Yeah. Well, this has been quite the story. I have thoroughly enjoyed hearing about
everything.
The genesis of something that is so grounded. I think has just been fascinating. Thank you for sharing all of that with us. I really appreciate it very much.
Thank you for letting me share.
Absolutely.
I think all that as a whole is what most people love about rodeo.
Yeah, I think you ride a bike because you like what it represents.
Like you said on your big ride, I mean, it doesn't matter what you're on. I mean, yes, you own a bike company.
Yeah. But how many owners of a bike company are going to tell the people it doesn't matter what you're on, just get out there and do the thing.
100%.
So that's.
I don't think we have to tell people. I don't think you have to. I think we're in a good situation of, again, because whatever, we're not publicly traded. We don't have a bunch of. We don't have to look at that outcome. The gains and in making a lot of money as the most important thing. So it's kind of liberating to be able to step aside and just say, we can have a different team. That there are enough people who like what we do, I guess, organically without having to manipulate people and trick them, that we're fine. We're fine. I'm glad. I used to work in advertising, and we manipulate people in advertising. You manipulate people. It's like you need this. You didn't know you needed it, and by the way, you need it now. And maybe it's on sale. Or what are the little knobs? And can I make you feel insecure for not having it? There are some pretty predictable levers that you use when you're marketing and selling products to get people to respond and want them. And maybe rodeo is like my catharsis from having left that industry and saying I don't have to do that anymore. I can just tell the story that I want to tell. So
it's interesting. Joey and I will sometimes have conversations that are very similar. We're talking about, well, how can we grow the podcast? How can we make this better? And it always comes back to, we just do the things that we love doing.
Yeah, we just
if people are listening and it resonates with them and they get a kick out of it, then they'll tell somebody, and it's just the way it's going to be.
I like to hear stories and tell stories.
Yeah,
that's all I want.
Speaking of
I think that's the right approach.
Speaking of hearing and telling stories, Stephen, you want to stick around for this or that? It's where we kind of mess some things up a little bit. Maybe a lot of people I've heard turn off when they get to this part of the show.
I think people listen just for it, so
I think it's controversial. Yeah.
Okay, you are our guest, Stephen, so I'm going to give you first opportunity to answer. Then I will give my answer, and then Joey's going to muck it all up. Yep. Peanut butter with pickles or peanut butter with bananas?
It's 100% peanut butter with bananas.
Oh. See, I am a huge fan of the peanut butter and pickle. You put it on a cracker, you make a sandwich with the sliced pickles, you just literally slather some peanut butter on a pickle. Do you like pickles and do you like peanut butter, Stephen?
I'm more and more a believer in pickles. Something about me is changing, and when I do long bike rides and events, I can't do that fake food anymore. So
right there with you.
I have started putting pickles in little plastic baggies and shoving them in my bike bags or pockets. And you're like, pickles are a wonder food, but also peanut butter. How about this? Can I do peanut butter and pickles, but adjacent to each other, not at the same time.
Sure, you do.
Because I do that.
We do that. We do anything we want. But do yourself a favor. Try the peanut butter and pickle. You might be surprised. Joey, where are you at?
I've never tried it.
I hate bananas.
I know.
I have tried, but
Ooh.
the same philosophy
Uh-huh.
with the pick. Like, I'm done with cycling food, I guess you call it, or
God.
prepackaged. But man, pickles.
Another gel.
I've probably said it on here before, but into a long run, I've been at like mile 80 and flushed the face, and I had like 20 more, and
Pickle brings you back.
pickle has brought me back so many times.
Yeah.
And peanut butter.
You know how, like, if you're a runner, you've really got about 20 years that you can be a runner, and then your body's like, no more.
Yeah.
I think gels are the same way.
Yeah.
You're allowed in your lifetime to consume about 500 gels, and then your immune system kicks in and it won't let you do it anymore. So spread them out, people. Spread the gels out. Don't do them all when you're in your 20s.
Just don't do them anymore. That's the good thing.
Right.
Okay, second item. Now, this actually goes against everything that we've just talked about for the last 40 minutes, but Joey wrote these. Trail donkey or flanimal?
I would pick the trail donkey because, I'm sentimental. And that's where I started.
Yeah,
But if I was only going to have one bike for the rest of my life, I would get a titanium flannel because it's kind of like no titanium flannel that we have ever sold has failed. That doesn't mean it's indestructible. People do not take it to Red Bull Rampage. But I mean, a strong argument could be made for just getting a forever bike and being done.
Yep.
And that bike could be that for me. I've road ridden it, and I've done all the gravelly things on it, and I've bike packed on it. So in that sense, it wins. But because I'm sentimental, it's a donkey.
Well, I am super jealous of Joey when he pulls that rusted flanimal out of the stable and hops on it. Because he is the new owner. Matt passed that along to Joey, so I do get some jealous.
The story of that bike.
Jealous, Joey.
I'm so glad it's being loved. I'm so glad it's just being loved. It went to home.
It is being loved and admired and touched and all the things.
Do people know what we're talking about? Do people know what the restaurant actually is?
Our listeners do.
I don't think
I'm curious. What is the rust continuing to do?
Look better. I mean,
is it static? Is it are the tube walls getting thinner and thinner?
I'm like 6 foot and 210, 15 pounds.
That'd be scary.
No, I don't think
the first flanimal to fail.
I will never be able to express how much I love that bike.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's
a successful bike then.
It's very successful. I have been through bikes, and that is one I will literally I might end up with a trail donkey in a year, and I'll flip bikes to go. That is one that will, no matter what, stay on my wall.
Yeah,
but I'll probably keep riding it.
Yeah. It and Matt just passed along to you the bag. Yeah, that was you were down at Croatan for campfire.
I have that bag now,
and Joey now has the bag.
The bag made out of cargo pants.
Yep, it's made out of Matt's cargo pants, mountain khaki pants.
Unwashed.
So much fun.
That's awesome.
So much fun. Yep. Okay, third item: a bee sting or chigger bites.
Wait, so what is a chigger? Because is that a tick, or is that like a fly, or because we may not have chiggers in Colorado?
You probably don't.
You're very lucky.
Joey, describe the chigger.
After being infected many times, not infected. Yeah. A chigger is like a little mite thing out here.
It lives in the grass.
And you walk through the grass. I've lately been getting a mountain biking through. We have like connector fields and fire roads that are overgrown, and you won't notice it. A day will go by, and you'll start getting these little bumps.
Little.
And it is the itchiest things in the world, and the only way I could cure it is like burning myself with hot water in the shower.
Yep, they're horrible.
Oh, I've done that. I'm going with bee sting. I have no hair, and in the summer, I semi-regularly intake bees into my helmet, and I'll just come to work like Quasimodo, like my scalp is swollen or my eye is drooping. And I would take that over tiny mites embedding themselves in my body any day of the week.
They're horrible. I don't even know. A bee sting, hands down, all day long. In fact, I just got stung by a bee. I was doing some work, believe it or not, here. It was November, and I got stung by a bee in November, of all things. It was chigger bites are the worst.
But what was that murder hornet that was coming to the United States? I might take chiggers over that murder
Is that
hornet.
like the Japanese wasp or something?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
yeah. It was.
What?
Yeah, it was a murderously large hornet that like wipes out bees, and the sting is 7 times 1,000 more powerful than whatever.
Yeah.
God.
Sound like an airplane coming.
Depends on the bee. Depends on the bee.
Mosquitoes and ticks, all these little critters are going to be the undoing. It's not going to be AI. It's going to be these little bugs.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Or they'll work together.
Joey?
Well, I've been with you. I've been stung in my helmet and my lip.
Yeah.
I got a yellow jacket between my lip and teeth. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. I'm not allergic. Like, I guess someone maybe allergic might say bees or might say chiggers, but
You cannot pick chiggers. They're horrible.
no,
I'm
but my
not allowing you to
my
do
wasp
that.
stings have hurt
Okay.
and left.
All right. So quick pivot question: poison oak or ivy or chiggers?
Oh,
Poison oak. I would take that.
chiggers.
I've gotten kind of used to the poison. I know how to deal with that now. So
All right.
I think that would actually still chiggers are the worst. They literally are the worst. And you get them on your feet and your ankles is usually where you get them, and your legs, and they're just they itch and they just
Yeah, but when I itch poison oak or ivy, it can spread.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm never going to move to the East Coast now. So
now you know. Last one: music or a podcast while riding.
oh man, I listen to podcasts like compulsively. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
My friends were getting their Spotify Wrapped. Everybody's posting 156,000 hours of music they've listened to
Right.
in 2023. I was like 5,600 minutes of music compared to genuinely like 156,000 minutes of music. So that just shows you how bad I am at music. I think music's beautiful, but I love podcasts. Maybe they have stories, and I feel like I'm learning something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I agree.
that's a great way to spend time.
Yeah. And I think that discovering of podcasts is, and maybe it's because there's so many of them, but I think there's a hole to be filled there. And I know a lot of people have tried it. The discovery though there's still something that's kind of missing. While riding though, I'm kind of more of a music guy because I kind of like to focus in.
You listen to 8 Mile soundtrack or something?
What, when I'm riding?
Yeah.
No. Same stuff I listen to in the truck. But I think I'm more of a music guy while I ride, though. Joey?
I think if it was like a race or like something long, then I feel like music. The one bikepacking race I've ever done, I had a music playlist. My wife made it for me. It's like 17 hours long. And still to this day, when I hear any song on that playlist, it takes me right back to that. And so for that reason, music wins in that way. So for commuting, podcasts are great because there's nothing epic about commuting on a bike. But for big all-day events or multi-day experiences, you got to go with music.
Yeah. Joey?
After thinking about what you just said with I have certain songs like with my wife that it comes on and I like it. It's just a trigger memory or whatever you want to call it. That does it for me.
Yeah.
But I think longer rides, I feel like I'm accomplishing more listening to a podcast. Like listen to something like Stuff You Should Know or something a little bit.
Okay.
I want to say educate.
I feel like we threw audiobooks under the bus with this question. Like we didn't even offer a choice.
I don't know. I'm a big audiobook. I'm an Audible subscriber, and I'm big with the audiobooks, but I don't know that I could listen to an audiobook on my bike. I agree. Maybe I'm just not smart enough.
Nothing sticks.
Yeah.
I'll daydream during the audiobook, and then what just happened?
Yes, exactly.
That just wrapped up my my educational stretch. It's like part of college. It's like
that was college, huh?
That was college. It's like
dreaming.
I so many times I've had to go back because I daydream while I'm reading or something. I'm like, oh my god, I could have been so much better at school if I.
Well, Joe, you did a great job writing this week's This or That's.
Thank you.
I'm normally the author, and Joey took it upon himself to throw all of these things together. Fantastic job, Joey. Bravo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joey.
Well, it is about time for us to shut this down for the week. One more time, Stephen Fitzgerald from Rodeo Labs, thank you so much for joining us and sharing with us all of that your stories and the genesis of the brand and where it's directing and where it's headed and all that. It's just, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
everybody.
You,
Brian and Joe. That was a lot of fun.
It was a blast.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of Mid-Atlantic Gravel, Travel, and Dirt. If you've enjoyed the podcast, maybe consider being like Nemo and joining our Patreon family. We really do appreciate all the support. Your monthly donation of just a couple of bucks really helps us keep this podcast going. And you can be on the lookout for your monthly sticker packs. That's the other thing you can do.
Yep.
Joey, how can folks get in touch with us if they're looking for us?
I think the next event I'll be at is Croatan. You come,
So, yeah, come and touch Joey.
Our graveltraveldirt.com is our website, and our Instagram is at Mid-Atlantic GTD. I want to leave on this.
Yeah.
The one thing, and it has to be rodeo related, is Matt Hawkins told me at Philly, you can't love a Specialized. And I'm not trying to sound all fluty with that.
Yeah.
But that stuck with me so much after selling bikes for 15 years.
I kind of can get that too.
Yeah. Just put that in your head, everyone.
Yeah. Take that home with
But
you.
ride whatever you got.
Yeah.
There's just a different
That's
love
true.
with certain things.
Mid-Atlantic Gravel, Travel, and Dirt is recorded this week from right here in Blake's Kitchen, all the way out to Colorado, where Stephen is. Thanks for riding along. Till next time, do good, be nice, go slow, respect others.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.